Pace of Operation Ganga continues to accelerate. During the last 24 hours, 15 flights landed in India. As you see, I think it was 3, 6, and then 9. So 15 flights in one day, bringing back more than 3,000 Indians. So with this, it takes the total number of flights under Operation Ganga to 30, if I remember correctly. And I think that so we have brought back around 6,400 Indian citizens. During the next 24 hours, which is the time frame usually we're projecting, 18 flights have been scheduled. So it was 15 flights. May I request my cell phones, please? During the last 24 hours, we had 15 flights, and the next 24 hours, we are expecting 18 flights. Of these, 3 would be Indian Air Force C-17 flights, and the other flights are commercial. Just wanted to list, we have almost major airlines there: Air India, Indigo, SpiceJet, and Go First or Go Air. In terms of the departure points from Europe, there will be 7 flights from Bucharest, 5 from Budapest, 3 from Rzeszów in Poland, and 1 from Košice in Slovak Republic. In addition, a new location has been identified near the Romanian border in the city of Suceava, from where 2 flights will be operated during the next 24 hours. I think Suceava flights will obviate the need for students to go all the way to Bucharest, which they are doing currently, which is a long drive from the border. So once they cross into Romania, this will be an easier option. Let's see how it works out. This increased number of flights that I'm talking about every day, I think reflects the large number of Indians who have actually crossed over from Ukraine and are now in the neighboring countries, Ukraine's neighboring countries. We will further step up efforts to bring all these Indians who are now in safety back to India at the earliest. We are scheduling more flights. In fact, we have planned more, and I'll continue to update you on which ones. We hope that over the next 2-3 days, a large number of these people will be back home. In the interim, till they are brought back to India after having crossed the Ukrainian border, our embassies, in cooperation with the host governments and local partners, are providing food and accommodation to them. So I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate the Ukrainian government for facilitating the evacuation of our nationals despite their own challenges. I would also like to thank Ukraine's neighbors for taking the extra effort and hosting our people and all the support in evacuating them through their countries. Returning back to the developments on the ground in Ukraine, we are closely following developments in Kharkiv, Sumy, and other cities in eastern Ukraine. As you know, yesterday in Kharkiv, we issued an advisory for all Indians to leave the city by 6 p.m. local time. Pursuant to this, a large number of students left and are currently in the nearby city of Pisochin. We estimate this number to be around 1,000 people there. We are currently looking at transportation options to move them from there to western Ukraine or southern Ukraine, depending on what transportation options work out. Separately, some others from the city of Kharkiv were able to leave on trains yesterday during the night earlier. So that has also helped in reducing the number of people in Kharkiv. Unfortunately, of course, there has been a fresh outbreak of violence today in Kharkiv, which always makes our job much more difficult. But this is something that's happening up and down, so it's a dynamic situation. I wanted to emphasize that we are in touch with Ukrainian and Russian authorities to look at or examine the modalities of seeing how we can evacuate from both Kharkiv and Sumy and other cities that may be required. So that's one of the priority areas, of course, as I think Foreign Secretary also mentioned the other day. Just a word on our Diplomatic engagement. Prime Minister spoke to President Putin yesterday and discussed the safe evacuation of Indian nationals from conflict areas in Ukraine. External Affairs Minister held telephonic conversations with the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Joseph Borrell, with the French Foreign Minister, Jean-Yves Le Drian, and the Foreign Minister of Estonia, Ms. Eva-Marie Limets. Separately, of course, the Foreign Secretary also spoke to the Deputy Foreign Minister of Ukraine, again on the modalities of getting our students out, particularly from near Kharkiv, from Pisochin. It's the 24 hours usually. If I've missed out something just above the 24-hour mark, please do let me know. But the crowd on the western borders, that is the overall crowd, I don't mean only Indians, continues to fluctuate. We discussed the border with Poland yesterday. Movement was very smooth, but over the night, in the early morning, it was clogged. So some students took more time. As I just came in, I was given a report that the situation has improved there. So it's very difficult. You see a lot of videos and stories. So it goes up and down. A movement has been steady and progressing well across the Hungarian, Slovak, and the Romanian borders. And of course, thankfully, the overall number of Indians on the western borders waiting to cross has actually reduced sharply, as the numbers indicate. We have only a movement from about 17 to 18,000. So there aren't that many now ready on the western borders waiting to cross. Our embassy team, which is now the part of the team which is operating from Lviv, is providing assistance. I think at the railway station as well as at other places. They are also coordinating. I wanted to take a minute here to emphasize that, look, while the embassy team, of course, is small and trying to be on the ground, we also are in touch with other partners as well as student coordinators who are trying to assist students. While we may not be able to reach everyone physically or be there, we are trying to see the best options when somebody calls us or indicates where they are. This is the process that's going on, and as I have mentioned repeatedly, our embassies, our strength teams have been increased, augmented, and I'm happy to see that this large number of people have been able to cross over. Just a word on the humanitarian assistance that we have been providing or promised, announced. I think the first tranche, of course, went yesterday morning, and then subsequently, I understand, those three tranches went to Poland. So first tranche, and then two more. One was a C-17, I think, and the fourth one has reached Romania. This humanitarian aid consists of medicines, medical equipment, other relief material, tents, etc. This is broadly where I wanted to share with you what we have in terms of updates. If there's something I've missed, happy to answer in the questions. Okay, let me open the floor. We'll start this side today. I'm going to start with you, ma'am. Please introduce yourself for the record.
सर विजय लक्ष्मी हूँ इंडिया टीवी से. कल जिस तरह से खबरें आई पहले रशिया के प्रेसिडेंट के हवाले से जो प्रेस रिलीज आई, फिर उनके डिफेंस मिनिस्ट्री के हवाले से कि कैसे भारतीय छात्रों को ह्यूमन शील्ड बना करके वहां पर रोकने का प्रयास या यूक्रेन की तरफ से किया जा रहा है. फिर यूक्रेन की तरफ से काउंटर क्लेम्स किए गए. हमारे MEA का भी एक वक्तव्य सुबह आया. क्या हमने इंश्योर किया है कि ऐसा नहीं है, और अगर ऐसा नहीं था तो रशिया ने इस तरह का क्लेम क्यों किया? हमने क्या डिप्लोमेटिकली कुछ उनसे बात की?
Just 1 second, please, and after that.
So this is Kamaljeet Sandhu from India Today. Sir, how many continue to be in the conflict zone, and what's the way out, and what happens to the Eastern Front? Has things moved from that particular area? Because apparently still a lot of videos coming in where students are talking about not being able to make it to the Western Front.
Please, yours. I'll come to you.
उमाशंकर सिंह, NDTV इंडिया. कल जो रूस रक्षा मंत्रालय की तरफ से बयान दिया गया था, उसमें ये भी कहा गया था कि रूस जो है वो अपनी टेरिटरी और अपना ओन मिलिट्री ट्रांसपोर्ट प्लेन जो है उसको भी इस्तेमाल करने की बात उसमें की गई है. तो क्या किसी तरह का कोई कोऑर्डिनेशन रूस अथॉरिटीज के साथ हुआ है, खासतौर पे खार्किव से जो लोग, जैसा अभी आपने बताया कि 1000 लोग सुरक्षित जगह पे हैं, तो इस मामले में कोई बातचीत आगे बढ़ी?
एक फाइन इस तरह से लेता हूँ. आई थिंक एक मिनट से उनका पहले हाथ देखा था मैंने अगले राउंड पे.
सर मेघना देव डीडी न्यूज से। सर सुमा में भी कई बच्चे मौजूद हैं, उनके बारे में क्या अपडेट है? क्या वहां से भी लोगों को ट्रेन से ले जाने की कोई कोशिश की जा रही है?
ओके, ये राउंड ले लेता हूँ क्वेश्चन। लेट मी विजय लक्ष्मी जी, आपने जिक्र किया था, हम एक स्टेटमेंट आई थी वहां से रूस की तरफ से प्रधानमंत्री के बात करने के बाद, और उसके बाद हमने रात में देखा यूक्रेन साइड से। देखिए, हमने तो उसमें एक बयान दे चुके हैं, मुझे और कोई एडिशनल कुछ नहीं है। मैं सिर्फ दोहरा सकता हूं जो हमने कहा था उसमें, कि हमारे जितनी जानकारी है ऐसा कोई हॉस्टेज सिचुएशन नहीं है, और हम ऐसा कोई रिपोर्ट नहीं है, और हम कोऑर्डिनेट कर रहे हैं यूक्रेनियन साइड से भी कि उनका कोई स्पेशल ट्रेन वगैरह हो जाए। मैंने जैसे कहा, फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी ने कल रात लेट नाइट पे बात की थी डिप्टी फॉरेन मिनिस्टर से कि कोई स्पेशल ट्रेन या और कोई सुविधा हो निकालने के लिए, क्योंकि अब वो आ गए हैं पश्चिम की तरफ, अब वो हैं पिसोचिन जगह में हैं, और हम रूस के साथ तो बिल्कुल कांटेक्ट में ही, उनके इनपुट से ही ये हुए थे। तो ये सिचुएशन अभी है। उन्होंने क्या जारी किया, कैसे किया, इस पे तो मैं टिप्पणी नहीं कर पाऊंगा, पर हमने हमारा जो पर्सपेक्टिव है उस तरफ से हमने ये शेयर किया था। Kamaljeet, you talked about how many in conflict zone. Look, that's a very difficult question to answer for both reasons. A, how do you define what is a conflict zone in itself? And B, as we are saying, this is all an estimate. As we have been saying, let's look at the overall numbers. We had initial registrations of about 20,000 people. We estimate, as I said, 18,000 are out. But clearly, people did not all, not everybody registered, clearly, because if 18,000 have come out, and we know for sure that there are more than a couple of thousand people, 1,000 in Pisochin, and there are others. So I think that number will be a little higher. If we focus on specifically the cities, as I said, we estimate few hundred people still remain in Kharkiv, despite or following our advisory and the deadline. I want to add that we understand that trains are running from there, and people over the night who couldn't walk to Pisochin actually took the trains. If that situation continues, we would urge people, subject to their safety, because there's a shelling and fighting, if they could come, perhaps to take the train or some other mechanism and leave would be perhaps the best way. So that's one area of concern and focus. Sumi, zikr kiya tha, and same goes here. आई थिंक मेघना जी आपने कहा था, सुमी में भी हम उसको चेक कर रहे हैं कितने लोग हैं स्पेसिफिकली अभी बाकी, उसका भी कुछ फ्यू हंड्रेड्स होंगे वहां पे भी। वहां पे सिचुएशन थोड़ा डिफरेंट है, क्योंकि वहां पे अभी उसका कोई क्या रूट क्या है, उसमें भी कोऑर्डिनेशन है। हम देखिए, हमारे जो प्रायोरिटी है वो है कि स्टूडेंट्स को किस तरह से निकालें, इसके लिए हम सबसे कांटेक्ट में हैं। कोई भी रूट चल सकता है हमारे लिए, जो सबसे सेफ इजी रूट हो उसको हम लेंगे। कल खार्किव में ये रूट मिला, हमने लिया। सुमी में कोई और रूट मिल जाए हम वो लेंगे, आपको जानकारी देंगे उसमें। उमाशंकर जी कह रहे थे कि रूस के ट्रांसपोर्ट प्लेन का, देखिए ये सब डिटेल्स हैं जिसमें मैं कह नहीं पाऊंगा एग्जैक्ट क्या हो रहा है, पर हम उनके साथ बातचीत में तो हैं। अगर वो ऐसी स्थिति आई कि वो निकल पाए उस जगह से और जहां जा पाए, जहां से ट्रांसपोर्ट प्लेन से जाएं या बसेस से जाएं, पर देखिए ट्रांसपोर्ट प्लेन उस एरिया में तो पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है, पर एक बार बाहर निकल गए यूक्रेन से तो हम भी प्लेन भेजने के, हमारी एयरफोर्स की तो प्लेन जा ही रही हैं, तो वो ऑप्शन हमेशा रहती हैं। पर अभी दिक्कत यह है कि उनको जहां पे हैं वहां से एक सुरक्षित स्थान पे लाएं, फिर वहां से उनको किसी भी बॉर्डर पे ले जाएं। ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि उनको लिविव के साइड पे ही जाए, अगर पास पड़े रोमेनियन बॉर्डर, मोल्डोवन बॉर्डर, उस तरह रूस के बॉर्डर पे अभी तक कोई मूवमेंट हुआ नहीं है, क्योंकि वहां पे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चल रहा है। Okay, let me take a next round of questions, Siddhant. Sorry, so 1 second. If you have a related question, I'll take that. Yeah, please. Akhilesh.
Sir, I am Akhilesh Suman from Sansad TV. Russian National Defense Control Center head Colonel General Mikhail Mizintsev has said that 130 buses are ready to evacuate stranded Indian students and other foreigners from war-torn Kharkov and Sumy cities to Russia Belgorod region. So, do we have any information and any touch with them regarding this facility that they are giving? And to add to this, Quad summit is going to be held. So, who initiated?
That's a distinctly second question different.
No, this is not.
It's not related. Why don't I come back to it? I'll give you the microphone. Let's. No, 1 second. I saw a couple of hands that side. Who was that? Okay. So I think take you.
I wanted to ask actually about more clarity, and I think it's already been asked about the Russian allegations, but I wanted to ask for more clarity on your own announcement yesterday that it was Russian inputs that allowed India to pull its citizens or tell its citizens to flee Kharkiv at a certain hour's notice. Is that part of ongoing coordination between India and Russia? Are they telling us where they're going to bomb next so that we can get our citizens out? I'm asking this because we have seen enough reports today that suggest that Russia held off bombing Kharkiv in order to allow Indian citizens to leave. So we'd like a little more clarity. Yesterday you said you weren't in a position to tell us more about the Russian inputs, but just on the nature of the kind of cooperation between India and Russia when it comes to this. Part of this is also a report you may have seen on something called Axios.com today that says that the US State Department has now recalled a cable it sent out, but in that cable it said that India's abstention is firmly putting India in, quote-unquote, the Russian camp. I was wondering if you would react to the idea that India's abstention actually places it in what the US State Department, which has not denied the presence of the cable, there's a US State Department spokesperson quoted in that report, refers to as the Russian camp.
Just one second. No, hold on. I have to give it to Siddhant. I forgot. Siddhant, your turn.
Hi, sir. I'm Siddhant from WION. My question was how much the Ukrainians and the Russians have been instrumental yesterday evening in terms of the Indians able to leave Kharkiv, the role especially played by the Ukrainians and played by the Russians.
And I'll take one more or maybe a couple of more. I had promised that. So I'll come back. Don't worry.
Myself, Urvashi Kona from NewsX. Sir, there's one particular Indian doctor who's still stuck in Kyiv. While there was, a call that was being said that everyone has been evacuated from Kyiv, this doctor and his whole family are waiting for help from the side of India. And he's also seems to be some medical problem with him where he himself can't travel. If we can just address that.
Okay. Who was the person? You, Stranger? Yes. Come back.
So you would have seen that Tamil Nadu has decided to send 4 MPs to Hungary, Romania, Poland, Slovakia, and also 4 IS officers as part of the team. How is the coordination between the Indian government and state governments happening in a foreign country? How is it turning out? The other point, of course, relates to getting people out of Kharkov. At this point, would you be able to say approximately how many Indians are still in Kharkov?
Okay, let me take this round of questions and I'll just take one more round after that. I'll come back to you. Look, Akhilesh, you started off with this statement. Look, I can't comment on the details because I haven't seen it, but as I said, we are in touch with all countries that are involved, particularly the Ukrainian Russians, of course. And if that works out, excellent. As I said, our request, which has been made the Prime Minister level, the Foreign Minister level, at any other level with the Ukrainians, is find a safe passage for our citizens. Whether it is exactly by a bus or a train or which route, I think we are not really prescriptive on that. So if it works out, great. But I'm not aware of how that will work out. We have teams in Belgorod, we have it in Kursk. If that route works out, great. But I'm not aware of any subsequent developments on that. Fair enough, but they need to take them, no? Very good. But they're still inside Kharkiv. I'm not sure how I should react to it. We would love to have us people out. I don't understand. A discussion here on the modalities helps. I'll come back to it. I had a question, I think, exactly from Siddhant on this, on what is the kind of coordination discussion. Look, we are in touch at various levels, whether here in Delhi, in the capitals, at various levels. Our ambassador is in touch in Kyiv with the Ukrainian side. Our ambassador in Moscow is in touch. Here you heard the Prime Minister spoke to President Putin. So I don't know exactly what exact role, as I said, and that brings me, I think, what Suhasini was asking the first question, which was on, look, I don't know if I can add anything more. We got the specific inputs that, look, this is a route that's available. These are the places that Indian citizens should go by this time. We conveyed that to our citizens. And I'm happy that many could make it, not in the best of circumstances perhaps, because I think there were sporadic incidents of violence, but this is a war zone and I can't comment on the exact details. We haven't met them yet. But I'm happy that a significant number of people could come out through that route and through whatever trains. So I think that's the kind of conversation. But extrapolating that to say that somebody is holding off bombing or that this is somewhere we are coordinating that, I think is absolutely inaccurate. I don't think. If I could be more facetious, then it will extrapolate itself. So we would then order a resumption of bombing. I think that's really getting a bit much ahead of ourselves. You also had some query on Axios. I saw that media story. It's a media story out of somewhere. It's got nothing to do with us actually. It's some cable which is sent, some cable which is taken back. I haven't seen that cable. I don't know what to comment on it. It's an internal story, so I'd not like to say anything on that.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.